Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sheepcraft. This is episode 6, and after the holidays, we updated the server to 1.21.11, which means that we have husk camels, spears, and of course, the different Nautilus variants. I don't know how we're going to play with the camels and the parched, but I already have a Nautilus that's swimming somewhere in that river behind me. And in a stream, we played with spears with different members of the server. It was honestly a lot of fun, and I am very happy to finally be on the newest version, even though it came out quite a few weeks ago. I want this to be a mega builder episode. Well, not mega project builder, just building a lot, if that makes sense. I haven't recorded in such a long time that I am completely forgetting how to record. Anyway, what I want to do for today revolves entirely around this area. So, we have a lot of just cookie cutter stuff, and I am not really liking it. We have this massive flat section here. We have these sections over here due to just plonking the base down where I needed it to go. So, what I would like to do for today is I want to build up this area here to have a raised decorated platform with the similar style of this area here and a similar style that we will have for this area down here. I want to use this to just continue along with the idea that this is a on the surface for nature build because we have these areas here where we're going to have some greenery, some nature, just to have that feel. And it would be weird if the only place like that was in these two areas. So I want to raise the platform here, and I will cut off my section of the build to around this point here. That is because, as we can see, Deviate is starting to build his area, and I don't want to take so much of this space that he feels that he only needs to be in that side of the area. So for my build, I'm going to be capping off at around here so that we can do a shared thing here in the middle, and I'm not taking too much space. I already know that I'm going to have a much bigger area. That's just because I am a lot more ambitious with my build. But that is beside the point. I know very little of what he wants to do. I know that he mentioned wanting to animate this water wheel, and I hope that that turns out well. And I gave him the idea of having his base be on a bridge, and he loved the idea, so he started building it on stream. That is beside the point. Again, so for what I want to do for this back area here, first of all, I want to finish this building here entirely because we still have another like 20 blocks to go. We still have this front area to decorate. We have the entrance, staircase, and a lot more. I also have a section over here that I need to finish. That's going to be a very small part of it. I also have the water tower. I forgot about that. But what I want to do for this section is I want to have similar idea for this, a raised platform. I want to have a platform be up at this level where we have decorated terrain, we have pillars, and we also have, well, we'll have the water tower over there, but I want to have something over here. Maybe like a second entrance or like a side building or something. But I don't want to touch this terrain here. So I'm going to try and grab this design form here for this with the moss and the grass and bring it together back around over here. And then we can terraform this area here to be the raised platform area. I think I will have to move it back a few blocks, but that's okay. That's not an issue. I will try and match that style over there and then integrate it into the new style for this area. Because I would like to have a different style of terraforming for this section here. And that is because I want to play with different terraforming styles. And this feels a lot more like a style that would fit this side of the island. So if we can have a different style that fits something else to fit these buildings over here, that would be very cool. But because this is such a massive area, having to build this tree, that building over there, the platforms, and the terraforming, I fully expect this to be a very long and tedious process. I am not concerned about that. I will very much enjoy that. So, now that it has begun raining, that's great. I've spent so long trying to record this that now it starts raining. Whatever. Alright, everybody. I think it's time that we have the first super fast build mode of 2026. Okay, I wanted to take a pause here. We're technically not done, but as you can see, we have done quite a lot of progress here. So we have, first of all, this building is now completed. We have the decoration here on the side. We have this section here. This is going to be for a little, it's a shed, but secretly it's a base kind of thing. Idea that I had from way back at the start. I was originally going to put it somewhere over there or maybe like over here. But when I actually started building up this area, I realized that this would fit perfectly here as a shed that works as the hidden entrance. We have the main headquarters for the blue base. For now, this is just storage system. I'm not going to show what's in here because that's a spoiler for way later. But I would like to have maybe some banners up here saying something. I don't fully know. I just know that I want this to be where I have my storage space. So I want to break this up into layers going down into the ground where we have rows upon rows of chests with copper golems as our sorting system, as well as a traditional redstone based system, so that we can just put our stuff in a sorter and then just have it go around the facility and have it be organized into the right category of chests that we need it to be in. We also have this tree. I need to just fly because you don't get the right experience from down on the ground. This thing is honestly one of the best trees I have ever made. Going into free cam here, it's this is a tree that I spent a significant amount of time in a creative world trying to get right. Just because I am not someone that traditionally builds trees. I will very much admit that I had to take a lot of time to learn how to do this style of branching using fences and the fence gates, and I am really proud of it turned out. We have the main system, we have splits off in the branches, we have even thinner branches as I said with the fences and fence gates, and then we also have a bit of shadow and light play with the azalea leaves and the spruce leaves. I tried playing around a little bit with the flowering azaleas, but it's such a small detail that it doesn't even really get picked up when you're down on the ground. I gave the tree a bit of a scarred look. I don't remember why. I just remember liking the extra detail that I added. And of course, because this is the blue base, we had to add a little bit of blue into the build. So we have this little swing set here, which might be one of my favorite views of this area, even if it doesn't include the tree, just because the idea of sitting on a swing upon a massive tree atop a really big structure is really funny to me. We also have this area over here. This is a little bit more decorational than it is for a specific, oh, weird rubber banding, express use. But I would like to go into the detail of trees, or I should say continue going into the details, because trees that are smaller tend to be a little bit more difficult to get right with this same style of using the fences as branches. But I'm still quite happy that I was able to dial it down. I might remake this tree because this curvature is a little bit wonky. Not necessarily happy with this one, but I really do like this tree a lot. Moving aside from that, this back part is unfinished. I would like to add pipes. These two white areas will be going down. This gray area will be fed into this little water reservoir we have here. So this actually goes down way more. It's just there's a little bit of a landmass over the top, which that's not really too much of an issue. I am more than willing to terraform this to make it fit the idea that I wanted to fit. And I want this to be a sort of behind the scenes refinery idea going with it. So inside it'll be a supposed, or I guess alleged, refinery of oils going on inside, which will be visible in the facility that we will make down below. Probably in the following episode or the episode after that. And so we will get to see all of that oil and water be transferred down into the facility that's secretly being harvested behind this for nature stylized build. And we are technically not done with the outside. We still have all of the terraforming to do back here, all of the terraforming to do on the sides, and I just wanted to take a pause on the whole structure just to show off the progress, talk a little bit about how things are made, and also give myself a little bit of a break because this has been around 6 hours of work between that massive tree, the structure back there, and also creating this on the fly. This took a lot of thinking because I didn't have a design for this going into it. I made this completely on the go, which is why I switched from the diorite to andesite here in the middle, because I realized that it would look a little bit better having the lighter color be up front, the gray be on the underside. Because we already have a lot of color with the blue, the copper, and the warped leaves. I don't remember what they're properly called. So there is a lot of pop out at your face colors on this, and I'm really glad that it's turning out this way. And like I said, I wanted to take a moment. I'm gonna grab some blocks here real quick to show how you could make your trees. I'm not going to put too much detail into it because I do want to tear it down. But a lot of it just starts with creating a random shape in the ground, and that's your tree. You just slowly start building it up until it's something that you are okay with. And you will have to beef up some parts, you will have to do some things with it to make it a little bit more of an actual tree structure. But from here, you can basically go wherever you like with this. You can have bits that are hanging off, you can have bits that are just raised a little bit higher than the rest of the build, and you can basically do whatever you want once you have a little bit of an outline idea for your tree. And if we go ahead and finish this branch here, this is how I created most of the trees, just placing random blocks, seeing how I felt about it, seeing how I liked it. And most of you could do this as well. And if we take a look down here, that's basically a tree. You don't really need much more thinking than that. Because what you can do is add a few slabs, add a few staircase into this. Specifically in the floating bits, that's where you would need most of those details. And then from there, you can grab fences and just start going up. I know that that's the difficult part, adding the fences. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of these. It's going to take a little bit of fly in. Because I suck at flying, even though I've been playing this game for God knows how many years. So assuming that this was spruce, which it would be if you're properly detailing the tree, you would have something like this. It adds basically nothing to your effort, but it adds so much more detail to connecting the floating bits that would supposedly, if they were drawn, would be like little curly bits or it'd be like little pointy bits. You would just connect it to the full structure. Now, the fences. This is where myself included and a lot of other people got lost. How the hell do you do the fences? Frankly, you can just do this however you want. If you want to have bits that connect, that's also okay. If you want to have bits that don't connect, and then it's just, well, first of all, this would be kind of weird because you don't really get that. It would be more something like this that you would get where it goes towards one side, splits off, and then goes up again. What you're looking for is for your tree to have a created structure that it can be supported off of. So you could get some curling in there if that's what you're looking for out of your tree. If you're just trying to get something that goes up, that's something that you can do as well. So honestly, what matters more when creating the branches is to make sure that you are splitting them properly. A branch will start at the thickest point, and then it will start splitting in two. So it'll go out from this point, and then it splits in two, and then it keeps going. And then it'll reach a point where it's at the highest it'll go, and that's it. You'll typically not go more than 2 or 3 blocks from the highest point of a branch, just because that's a little jarring for trees. And I'm not talking about the tree himself, I'm talking about the design of the trees. But that is honestly how you make a tree. It's a lot simpler than it looks. And from there, you can basically adapt it into any style. This is probably the tree that most people would imagine when you say, think of a tree. But there's thousands of tree styles. There's ones, I wish that I had designs that I could show off, but I don't have it on this instance. But there's a lot of different ways that you can play with quote unquote trees. So don't be afraid to try new things when exploring styles of trees, especially when you're doing styles of trees, just because there's no one size fits all solution for every builder. I went with this style mostly because it fits the environment of being, I used to be oak forest, but also because it feels very classic, which is kind of the feel that I'm going for with referencing the Team Fortress 2 game. Because to me, that's a classic game. It's a game that I played a lot when I didn't know what to play with, and me and my friends just wanted to do something. So that's what I'm going with. But there's also trees that are taller than they are wider, trees that are much wider than they are taller. Hell, that style of using the fences, if I find my leaves here real quick, you could honestly apply that to basically anything. If you just grab a point like this, and then you just start adding layers onto this, you can make a small tree with this. Now, would it look as good as a proper, like, full-size tree? No. But you can play around with it. And this is actually a good way for me to show how you would make leaves without having to go into a full-scale tree build. You want a lot of air to be incorporated into it. Like, you want to be able to see gaps and stuff. So don't take it too seriously. If you can see through it, it's okay. If you can't, that's also fine. A lot of people, when telling you to create trees, will tell you a bird should be able to fly through it. I don't really find that advice to be quite helpful when you're thinking of something like this, where it's you just need it to be small. You don't need it to be extremely detailed. A bird could not fly through this. A bird could not fly through that. It probably couldn't even fly through that if it tried. The thing is, don't aim so much for realism, aim for creativity. This is a small tree. This would work well if I added like a few blocks underneath it and I could have it dotted around. It would honestly work really well. It doesn't fit what I want to do with the build. I would generally want a little bit taller trees, more like pine trees, which are taller than they are wider, just because it gives similarity in height between that tree, these trees, and the foliage I want to have in the hills, in this section of the build, and the leaves that I have here already built. So my point is, when it comes to building trees, just be creative with it. If you create something, 90% chance there's a tree style that is very similar to the tree that you make. Maybe might not exist in real life, but that's honestly not the point. Minecraft is a game about creativity and pushing the limits of it its own rules. That I was going to be a little bit more creative with that, but it's better to keep things simple. This game is surprisingly simple. It is just cubes, it is just ideas, and from that you can create any world to your own desire. And this is no exception. If you want to make a tree that is pretty classical, we'll say, where it's you have a thick trunk and then it splits onto thin branches, sort of like this one and these, you can do that. That could be your only style of making trees. That is not a bad thing. And if you want to expand from there, you very well can. I chose spruce for these trees just because it fits that tree over there. And it also just adds color to the build. If everything was so bright and poppy, it wouldn't necessarily look too good. But this style of tree could very well fit if I just created a bunch of them around here. It wouldn't look out of place because of the environment that I've created. And that's what you should strive to do as well. Create an environment and then play with that environment. I, moving forward, will use, like I said, the more pine style of trees, just because it's what I want to do. It's how I want to create this environment. I probably won't do that in future seasons. I will probably do just two or three style of trees that match each other. But hey, you never know the plans. We'll see when we get there. In between clips, I decided to try and give the terraforming that you see behind me a little bit of a try. And it didn't quite work out. I like the idea of having the terraces. I'm still going to keep that idea. I will try to play with the pillars of tough. I very much like how that turned out. But as I was building it, I realized that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do the columns idea of stone that I had, but it's because this is too small of an area. If this was a much bigger area, this would be a lot easier. There'd be a lot more space between these things. I'd be able to have the best all runoff, but because of how this has played out, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the columns idea. But while having a thought about this, I had a dream last night, which is so weird that this idea came to me like this. I'm this is what I'm going to do, and this is going to sound absolutely insane. I'm going to tear down all of this progress, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to push back every part of this area about 5 blocks this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to terraform a cliff edge that goes up to around that height right there. So about 9 blocks. And I'm going to make it out of diorite because it'll match the roof that we have for these two areas as well as the wall there. And I'm going to have it be just one massive platform and then have like little bits and pieces over the top. This is such an over the top idea, but I think that it would look awesome. So, in between videos, I'm going to talk very little about this because I want to focus on the actual inside of the base moving forward. But when it is done, I will definitely show that off. So, at some point, you guys might see in the background just a massive diorite and calcite wall edge, and it's just going to be the backside of this. So, just to kind of walk through the idea, I want to tear down all of this, and I want to move this back just a little bit further back, and then have, instead of a wall that is kind of circular, it's going to be purely just slanted. And so then what I can do is have the terraces that I want be a natural formation that kind of smooths off. I can't fly for shit. That kind of smooths off into the side so that we still get that cliff edge, but we can still have the connection between this side here, the side over here that I want to terraform with the original style, but still have the terrace idea that I wanted to have for this area. This is going to be a lot of work, and that's exactly why I'm probably not going to show most of it right away, because I'm going to be working it in bits. And like I said, because I want to work on the interior for the next episode. Mostly this interior here and the interior of HQ Blue, this part here. This is going to be very redstone heavy, and I can't believe we're almost at the double digits and I have yet to touch redstone once. It's all been building. So that's what I want to do next episode. A lot of technical bits. And during a stream, me and DV8 played around with copper golems. We finally got to learn how they work because I hadn't really touched them up until that point. But that is what we're going to be doing in the next episode. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate if you watched this far. If you like that stuff, please stick around because I will be making more. And I have plans for this year to do more games than just Minecraft. Hytale just came out. I'm thinking about maybe doing that. I'm doing Gunfire Reborn, and I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. So please stick around. Go follow me on Twitch, Unwanted Ray. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the episode. Thank you all for sticking around. Thank you all for watching. And I will see you in the next episode. And if you have a name for the novelist, please leave it in the comments. Okay, goodbye.